Welcome. Today we embark on a tranquil journey back in time to a place of profound significance, a landscape carved by both nature and human ambition. We are traveling to the west bank of the River Nile, opposite the ancient city of Thebes, modern Luxor. Here, nestled in the sun-scorched hills of the Theban necropolis, lies a valley with secrets. This is the Valley of the Kings, a royal burial ground of the New Kingdom for nearly 500 years, a testament to a quest for eternal life and enduring power. Known in ancient times as the great and majestic necropolis, it was carefully chosen. Its towering peak, el-Qurn, resembles a natural pyramid. For centuries, from the 18th to the 20th dynasty, this secluded Wadi became the final resting place for the kings. Queens and powerful nobles were laid to rest here as well. Their tombs were not grand pyramids visible for miles, but hidden subterranean palaces, designed to protect mummified remains and immense treasures from the ever-present threat of tomb robbers. During our time together, we will explore this site in detail. We will move at a gentle pace, letting the ancient stones tell their stories. We will delve into the geology and the hydrology of the valley, seeing how landscape shaped the tombs. We will trace its long history, from first use as a royal necropolis to eventual decline. We will examine tomb development, architecture, decoration, and the precious equipment they held. We will look at the belief and ritual behind it all, investigate tomb robbers through history, and the archaeologists who work to uncover and preserve this heritage. The valley continues to yield secrets, 65 tombs and chambers found so far, and the tantalizing possibility of more. Our journey will also consider its modern legacy, its role as a premier tourist destination, and the crucial balance between access and conservation. So, let us begin our exploration of this incredible open-air museum, a window into the soul of ancient Egypt. The story of the Valley of the Kings is a layered narrative written in stone, in art, and in the very dust of the desert. To appreciate its meaning, we begin beneath our feet. This valley is a deliberate choice of landscape. Layers of sedimentary rock, dense, workable limestone interspersed with softer marl and shale, offered both opportunity and constraint to ancient builders. Generations of craftsmen read these layers with practiced eyes, tunneling through the hillside with bronze and flint, turning raw geology into corridors, chambers, and sanctuaries. Natural weaknesses threaded the rock, faults and joints that dictated the placement, the size, and even the shape of each tomb. Plans met reality at the rock face, and reality often won. A sudden fracture could divert a passage or force a dogleg turn, altering the intended design. Every tomb preserves traces of this dialogue between human intention and unforgiving stone. Cracks and fissures were never trivial. A single joint could compromise a ceiling or sheer decoration from a wall, threatening both structure and sacred images. Ancient engineers learned to listen to the mountain. They tapped for hollows, watched for hairline seams, and when necessary, abandoned sections to begin anew, an expensive wager against time. Geology here is inseparable from water. Though the valley is dry most years, it is, in truth, a wadi, a channel awaiting rare, violent storms. When rain finally comes, the baked ground refuses it. Water cascades from the cliffs, gathers speed in the gullies, and surges along the wadi floor with startling force. Floods scour the landscape and, most dangerously, pour through open entrances, filling chambers, dissolving plasters, and lifting pigments that have clung to stone for millennia. Within, priceless objects can be tumbled into sodden confusion. The flood that sealed Tutankhamun's doorway, hiding it for ages, remains the valley's most famous cautionary tale. Ancient builders answered with strategy, entrances cut high on slopes, diversion walls and channels to deflect the torrent, and steep corridors that acted as sumps. Simple, clever hydraulics. Today, the struggle endures. Modern channels and catchments stand guard, while conservators labour to stabilise fragile walls and safeguard colour that time and water conspire to erase. Selecting a tomb site was the first and gravest decision, for the king's eternal security rested on the quality and behaviour of the stone. Above, the upper shale swells and crumbles with moisture. Below, the limestone holds a steadier hand. Builders pierced the fragile layers swiftly, then drove steep, plunging corridors to bypass unstable strata and reach sound rock. Over it all rises el-Qurn, its pyramid silhouette a natural monument. To New Kingdom eyes, that peak linked their hidden burials with the Old Kingdom's ideal, enduring form married to divine order. Its solid limestone was read as an omen of favour. Its pyramidal form evoked the primeval mound, the land emerging from the waters of creation. The choice of place was practical, yes, but also profoundly sacred. In the hands of architects and artisans, geology became a medium. Beds selected, faults avoided, passages aligned to strength. Bronze and flint, guided by listening and skill, shaped a palace for the dead from the living rock. And so the ground itself underpinned ambition, stone that set limits, invited ingenuity, and ultimately bore the weight of eternity. In this valley, the earth and the afterlife were hewn as one. Having explored the very bones of the land, we now turn to the soul of the place, its history. The ancient Egyptians did not call this site the Valley of the Kings. To them it was known by a far more evocative and descriptive name, Ta Sekhet Maat, the Great Field. However, its full formal title was even grander, Ta Intamehu, the Great and Majestic Necropolis, of the millions of years of the Pharaoh. Life, strength, health, in the west of Thebes. This name reveals everything about its purpose. It was not merely a cemetery, it was a monumental machine for eternity, a sacred landscape engineered to guarantee the pharaoh's rebirth for millions of years to come. Over the course of its 500-year history, the use of the valley evolved. The tombs themselves reflect the changing fortunes and priorities of different dynasties. Earliest tombs from the 18th dynasty, like Thutmose, feature a bent axis plan. The entrance corridor descends steeply, then makes a sharp right-angled turn before the burial chamber. This dogleg may have been to confuse robbers, or to avoid faults in the rock. Decoration in early tombs was often simple, painted figures on plain backgrounds resembling papyrus scrolls. From the moment the first pharaoh was laid to rest, the immense wealth interred with him became a powerful lure for the desperate and the greedy. Despite the secrecy, the remote location, and the presence of the Medjay guards, tomb robbing was an almost constant problem throughout the history of the Valley of the Kings. These were not simple smash-and-grab operations. The robbers were often highly organized, sometimes even including the very workmen who had built the tombs, and the officials charged with protecting them. They possessed insider knowledge of the tomb layouts, the locations of hidden chambers, and the methods used to seal the entrances. giving them a significant advantage over the authorities. At dusk, the valley grows quiet. In this twilight, we mark a turning point. By the end of the 20th dynasty, around 1077 BCE, the age of royal building here was drawing to a close. Ramesses XI's burial would be the last of its kind in this sacred wadi. The final royal chapter written into the rock. Beyond the cliffs, Egypt's power fractured. Rulers in the north at Tanis, and the high priests of Amun holding the south from Thebes. The kingdom's centre no longer held as before. With fragmentation came scarcity. The resources and central authority to cut and defend new royal tombs in the valley simply vanished. In the 21st dynasty, pharaohs chose burial within temple precincts of the northern capital, Tanis, a different approach to royal rest, far from these western cliffs. As new burials ceased, the valley's purpose shifted, from creation to salvage and reuse, a sober phase of recovery and protection. For nearly 500 years, this secluded wadi served as a sacred stage, the final act in the lives of Egypt's greatest pharaohs. It was a landscape of divine purpose, meticulously engineered to guide the royal spirit through peril and toward rebirth. From the geology that set its limits to the theology that clothed its walls, every choice expressed a single ambition: to conquer death and secure a legacy for millions of years. The Valley of the Kings is more than a collection of tombs. It is a priceless archive of human civilization. The art upon its walls opens a window onto belief and tradition, scenes that still speak across 3 millennia. The treasures of Tutankhamun and others have shaped our understanding of daily life, royal power, and funerary practices. Today, it is a premier heritage site, welcoming visitors from around the world, a popularity that brings a modern paradox of access and preservation. Conservators and archaeologists labour on stabilising fragile walls, safeguarding colour, excavating, studying and conserving. Steady, patient work in service of time. New technologies reveal what eyes once missed: scanning light across pigments, digital reconstructions, rekindling hidden details and lost colours. The valley remains a place of discovery, a testament to human faith and the enduring quest for immortality. As we leave its silent, sun-baked corridors, we carry a deeper regard for all we have seen. Hopes, fears, and the very soul of a civilization were carved into living rock, a legacy in stone that continues to speak to us across the ages. Imagine a place where the golden sands of the desert embrace the life-giving waters of the Nile, a place where the echoes of ancient rituals still resonate within towering stone walls. 60 kilometers north of Luxor, rising majestically from the sands, lies the Dendera Temple complex. This sprawling site is not just a collection of stones, it's a portal to a world of gods, pharaohs, and the enduring mysteries of ancient Egypt. This sanctuary, primarily dedicated to the goddess Hathor, the embodiment of love, beauty, music and motherhood, is one of Egypt's best-preserved temple sites, a testament to centuries of unwavering devotion and unparalleled architectural mastery. Its remarkably intact state offers a unique glimpse into the religious practices and artistic achievements of the time. The main temple's colossal facade, adorned with intricate carvings and towering columns, dominates the landscape, a powerful statement of divine presence. Its sheer scale and breathtaking beauty are immediately striking, leaving visitors in awe of the ingenuity and artistry of its builders. Dendera's strategic location on the west bank of the Nile a region deeply associated with the afterlife and rebirth in ancient Egyptian beliefs, was carefully chosen with profound symbolic intent. Known in antiquity as Unet or Tantere, it served as the capital of Upper Egypt's 6th province, a significant administrative and cultural centre. It was also a vibrant hub of religious activity for millennia, drawing pilgrims and priests alike to participate in elaborate ceremonies and honour the gods. For centuries, the desert sands acted as a protective shroud, preserving Dendera from the ravages of time and the elements. This natural preservation allows us today to step back in time and experience a past that feels remarkably intact, offering an unparalleled connection to ancient Egypt. Unlike the partially ruined complexes of Karnak or Luxor, where much has been lost to the ages, Dendera's exceptional completeness allows us to vividly imagine the world of the pharaohs and their Roman successors, offering a more immersive and comprehensive understanding of their beliefs and practices. Even now, faded colours still cling to the walls and ceilings, whispering stories of vibrant processions and sacred rituals. These remnants of pigment offer a tantalizing hint at the temple's original splendor, a dazzling display of artistic expression. The complex we see today largely dates from the Ptolemaic and Roman periods, reflecting the influence of these later rulers on Egyptian culture and architecture. However, its sacred roots delve much deeper, reaching back to Egypt's earliest dynastic days, suggesting a site of religious significance for millennia. Each ruler who contributed to its construction and embellishment added a chapter to a story thousands of years in the making, leaving their mark on its walls and pillars. Dendera stands as a living chronicle of Egypt's spiritual and political evolution, a testament to the enduring power of its civilization. It is a place where ancient Egyptian traditions met new influences from the Greco-Roman world, creating a unique fusion of artistic and religious expression. It stands as a unique and timeless testament, a beacon of human ingenuity and spiritual aspiration. Dendera is a powerful reminder of the enduring power of faith, the boundless capacity for creativity, and the enduring legacy of ancient Egypt. The construction of Dendera is not just a building project, it's a sprawling saga, a testament to the enduring power of faith and the ambition of rulers across millennia. Its story was written by many hands, a collaborative effort unfolding across generations, each leaving their indelible mark on its stones. The inscriptions themselves offer glimpses into the past, mentioning Old Kingdom rulers like Pepi I, revealing a history that stretches back to the very dawn of Egyptian civilization. These rulers were already restoring a sanctuary that was ancient even in their time, highlighting the cyclical nature of preservation and renewal in Egyptian culture. Later, pharaohs of the Middle Kingdom, with their own visions of grandeur, and those of the New Kingdoms, including the powerful Thutmose III and the celebrated Ramesses II, each left their mark, adding to the temple's rich tapestry of history and devotion. Sadly, many of their structures are mostly lost, either through the ravages of time or incorporated into the later building projects. Their contributions now whispers in the stones. This continuous patronage, spanning across dynasties and centuries, clearly shows Dendera's lasting importance as a sacred site and a symbol of Egyptian identity. It reveals that every dynasty, regardless of its origins or ambitions, sought to honor Hathor, the goddess of love, music and motherhood, and to connect with Egypt's deep traditions. However, the most significant building phase, the one that truly shaped the temple as we see it today, began under the rule of the Ptolemies, the Greek dynasty that followed Alexander the Great. These Ptolemaic rulers, though Greek in origin and culture, astutely embraced Egyptian religion and traditions as a means to legitimize their rule in the eyes of the Egyptian people. It was they who initiated the construction of the Grand Temple of Hathor, a monumental undertaking that would define Dendera for centuries to come. This ambitious project continued for nearly 2 centuries, a testament to the Ptolemies' commitment to integrating themselves into the fabric of Egyptian society. Later, when Rome conquered Egypt, adding it to its vast empire, Roman emperors like Augustus and Nero, following the Ptolemaic example, added their own images and cartouches to the temple walls and even completed the magnificent hypostyle hall, seamlessly blending their legacy with that of ancient Egypt. Dendera's seamless transition from Ptolemaic to Roman patronage is a remarkable example of cultural continuity, and it highlights the extraordinary resilience of Egyptian culture in the face of foreign rule and influence. The temple, like a living organism, absorbed new rulers and their influences, yet remained firmly rooted in its ancient worldview, its core beliefs and traditions. In the end, it stands as a powerful monument to Egypt's unique ability to adapt, endure and inspire awe across the ages, a beacon of cultural strength shining through the sands of time. At Dendera's heart, rising majestically from the sands of time, stands the Temple of Hathor. Its imposing facade hints at the wonders held within, a testament to the ingenuity and artistry of the ancient Egyptians. Remarkably, it is more a preserved marvel than a ruin, offering an unparalleled glimpse into the religious practices and beliefs of a civilization long past. The temple's state of preservation allows us to truly appreciate the grandeur and sophistication of its design. Called the Castle of the Sistrum, a sacred musical instrument, it was believed to be Hathor's earthly home, a tangible bridge between the mortal realm and the heavens above. This temple served as a focal point for worship and connection with the divine. The temple's architecture is deeply cosmic, reflecting the ancient Egyptians' understanding of the universe and their place within it. Every element was carefully considered to create a harmonious and spiritually significant space. The very floors beneath our feet represent the earth, solid and grounding, connecting the temple to the physical world. The towering columns, adorned with plant capitals of lotus and papyrus, symbolize primordial plants, representing the life-giving forces of nature and the fertile lands of Egypt. And the ceilings above are painted to depict the starry sky, a celestial map filled with astronomical symbols and constellations reminding visitors of the vastness of the cosmos. The hypostyle hall, a forest of 24 columns, each meticulously crafted and topped with the serene face of Hathor, creates a profound sense of divine welcome, enveloping visitors in the goddess's gentle presence. The ceiling here is not just decoration, it's a painted map of the heavens, meticulously detailed with astronomical zodiac constellations, charting the sun's daily and yearly journey across the sky. Hathor, the beloved goddess of love, joyous music and nurturing motherhood, was central to Egyptian life. But she was also revered as a fierce protector, a powerful deity who guided souls through the perils of the afterlife, ensuring their safe passage to eternity. The temple was a vibrant center of activity, celebrating all aspects of Hathor's multifaceted nature, hosting elaborate festivals filled with music and dance. It was also a place of healing, where sacred rituals were performed to alleviate suffering and restore balance to the body and spirit. And it served as a conduit for divine wisdom, with oracles delivering prophecies and guidance to those who sought answers from the gods. As visitors progressed through the temple, they moved from the brightly lit hypostyle hall into increasingly darker and more sacred chambers, symbolizing a journey inward towards spiritual enlightenment. This journey culminated in the Holy of Holies, the innermost sanctuary, the most sacred space within the entire temple complex. Only the high priest, the intermediary between the goddess and the people, was permitted to enter this innermost sanctuary to tend to the goddess's cult statue, performing rituals to honor and sustain her divine presence. Every space within the Temple of Hathor was meticulously designed for ritual, reinforcing Hathor's presence and power, ensuring that her influence permeated every aspect of daily life. Today, the Temple of Hathor remains a living symbol of Egypt's rich spiritual imagination, a testament to the enduring power of belief and the remarkable achievements of ancient civilization. On the temple's roof, a small chapel once held the Dendera Zodiac, a masterpiece of ancient astronomy. The original circular bas-relief, now in the Louvre, is a map of the heavens as seen by the Egyptians. It fuses Greco-Roman zodiac signs with traditional Egyptian constellations, blending cultures and knowledge. Planets appear as deities in celestial boats, reflecting a sophisticated understanding of the cosmos. The zodiac's placement in a chapel dedicated to Osiris linked the cycles of stars to death and rebirth. Its circular design symbolized the eternal nature of time and cosmic order. When the zodiac was removed to Paris, it sparked debates about the age of the world and Egypt's scientific legacy. Later analysis dated it to the late Ptolemaic period, around 50 BCE. The Dendera Zodiac remains a unique artifact, revealing the depth of ancient Egyptian astronomy and cross-cultural exchange. It is a testament to the Egyptians' quest to understand their place in the universe. Beyond the Temple of Hathor, Dendera's complex unfolds as a tapestry of sacred spaces. A massive mud brick wall once enclosed the precinct, separating the divine from the everyday. Entering through the Roman-built northern gateway, visitors followed a processional way to the main temple. To the right stands the original birthhouse, or Mummification, of Nectanebo I, dedicated to the divine birth of Horus and the Pharaoh. Nearby, the ruins of a Coptic basilica show how the site was repurposed in Christian times. Behind the main temple, the Roman-era Temple of Isis tells the story of Osiris's death and rebirth under Hathor's protection. The complex also includes a sacred lake for priestly purification and a sanatorium where pilgrims sought healing dreams from Hathor. Dendera was more than a temple. It was a center of worship, healing and community life. Its layers reveal Egypt's evolving spiritual landscape. Deep in the temple's crypts, mysterious reliefs known as the Dendera Light have fueled debate for decades. These carvings show bulb-like objects with serpents inside, connected to boxes resembling jade pillars. Fringe theories claim these are ancient electrical devices, explaining how Egyptians lit dark interiors without soot. Mainstream Egyptologists, however, see rich symbolism: the bulb as the sky goddess's womb, the serpent as the sun's creative force, the lotus as rebirth, and the jade as stability. There's no evidence for ancient electricity. No bulbs, filaments or batteries have been found. Egyptians used mirrors and clean-burning lamps for illumination. The Dendera light is a mythological scene, not a technological blueprint. It's a striking example of how ancient art can inspire both wonder and wild speculation. South of the main temple stands the Roman Mummification, or birthhouse, one of Dendera's best-preserved buildings. Dedicated to the divine birth of Ai, son of Hathor and Horus, the Mummification was the stage for rituals celebrating both myth and royal legitimacy. Built by Augustus and decorated by Trajan and Hadrian, its reliefs show Roman emperors as Egyptian pharaohs making offerings to the gods. The building blends Egyptian and Greco-Roman styles, reflecting the era's cultural fusion. Vivid reliefs depict Hathor's pregnancy, Ai's birth, and his presentation to the gods. These scenes reinforce the emperor's divine right to rule Egypt. During festivals, Hathor's statue was carried in procession to the Mummification, symbolizing the reunion of the divine family. The Mummification was central to Dendera's religious life and remains a window into Roman Egypt's spiritual world. It stands as a symbol of adaptation and enduring tradition. Dendera's walls and crypts are a treasure trove of history and intrigue. On the rear wall, the only known relief of Cleopatra VII and her son Caesarion shows them presenting offerings, a poignant bid for legitimacy. The temple's 14 crypts hidden below stored sacred objects and are covered in detailed reliefs, protected from centuries of damage. Exploring these chambers reveals the secret workings of the ancient priesthood. The temple's roof too was a ritual space, with chapels and kiosks for ceremonies like the New Year's dawn, when Hathor's statue greeted the rising sun. Modern restoration has uncovered the original vibrant colours of the hypostyle hall's astronomical ceiling, transforming our view of the temple's splendour. Each discovery adds new layers to Dendera's story. The temple continues to yield secrets, connecting us to the rituals and lives of its ancient builders. Dendera is not just a relic, it's a living archive of Egypt's past. Its walls still speak, inviting us to listen and learn. Dendera is more than an archaeological site. It's a testament to the enduring power of faith and culture. For millennia, it bridged the human and divine, witnessing dynasties, empires, and shifting beliefs. Its preservation offers the most complete glimpse of a Greco-Roman temple in Egypt. Dendera's reliefs and architecture are a stone textbook, teaching us about gods, astronomy, politics, and daily life. Today, it inspires tourists, scholars and seekers alike, sparking new questions and interpretations. Debates over the Dendera light and the Zodiac show the site's ongoing role in our quest for knowledge. Standing in the hypostyle hall, beneath Hathor's gaze and a ceiling of stars, you feel a timeless connection. Dendera reminds us that the search for meaning and beauty is eternal. It is not just a monument to the past, but a mirror reflecting our own enduring curiosity. The echo of Dendera's legacy still resonates, inviting us to wonder and explore. The ancient Egyptians are famous for many things. We remember their towering pyramids. We marvel at their golden treasures. We are fascinated by their strange animal-headed gods, but perhaps more than anything else, we are captivated by their intricate and profound beliefs about life after death. For the people along the banks of the mighty Nile thousands of years ago, death was not an end, it was a transition. A doorway to another existence, a journey to an eternal life they prepared for their whole lives. This belief was the very heart of their civilization, influencing everything they did. It shaped their society, starting with art, architecture, and religious practices. The magnificent tombs were not just burial places, they were eternal homes, built to last for millennia. The elaborate rituals were not simple farewells, they were essential procedures to ensure safe passage and rebirth. From the pharaoh in his golden palace to the humble farmer in his mud brick house, every Egyptian shared the hope of life beyond the grave. To understand them, we must look at their relationship with death. They weren't obsessed with death. They were obsessed with life. Their preparations were an expression of love for life. They wanted their joys to continue forever. This desire for eternity unlocks their complex world, where living and dead often blurred. This is a journey back in time. Their ideas changed over thousands of years, growing more complex. We will explore the cosmos, their powerful gods, and the rise of writing. We will see the soul's perilous journey through the underworld and the final judgment. It is a story of hope, fear, and the human quest for immortality. In ancient Egypt, religion was not separate from daily life. It was woven into the very fabric of society, a constant presence that connected everyone. At the center of this religious web was the powerful concept of the afterlife. This was not a belief reserved for a select few priests or nobles. It was a universal truth that united all Egyptians, providing a shared purpose and a common understanding of their place in the universe. The gods they worshipped were deeply involved in this process. Osiris, king of the underworld, Anubis, guide of souls. Both played crucial roles in the journey of the dead. Their stories and powers gave shape and meaning to what happened after death. The Egyptians believed that a proper burial was absolutely essential. It was the first and most critical step in securing a place in the afterlife. Without the correct rituals and a protected tomb, the soul could be lost forever, condemned to a restless and unhappy existence. This is why they invested so much time, effort and resources into their funeral practices. Elaborate tombs, careful preservation through mummification, wealth of objects buried with the dead, all part of a grand strategy to defeat death and equip the deceased for a new life. The development of writing was a revolutionary moment for these beliefs. It allowed ideas to be written down, standardized and shared more widely than ever before. Local traditions, spoken myths, could now be recorded in powerful texts. Sacred writings inscribed on tomb walls, papyrus scrolls and coffins acted as guidebooks for the dead. They contained spells, prayers and maps to help the soul navigate the dangers of the underworld. Writing the texts was itself a magical act, giving them power in the spiritual realm. These afterlife texts became a cornerstone of funerary culture. They provided a detailed script for the soul's journey. Pyramid texts, earliest for royalty. Coffin texts, available to more people. Book of the Dead, magical protection for those who could afford it. These texts reveal deep anxiety about the afterlife, but also incredible ingenuity, ensuring a safe arrival in paradise. The journey to the afterlife, as imagined by the ancient Egyptians, was far from simple. It was a difficult and hazardous voyage through a complex spiritual landscape known as the thwart, or the underworld. This realm was filled with terrifying demons, strange obstacles, and gates guarded by fearsome beings. The deceased soul would have to face a series of trials and tests to prove their worthiness. They could not make this journey alone. They relied on the knowledge contained within their funerary texts, which provided the secret names and magic spells needed to pacify the guardians and overcome the dangers that lay in wait for them at every turn. The climax of this perilous journey was the final judgment. This dramatic event took place in the Hall of Two Truths, presided over by the god Osiris. Here, the heart of the deceased, which the Egyptians believed was the seat of intelligence and memory, was weighed on a giant set of scales. It was weighed against the feather of Ma'at, the goddess of truth and justice. If the heart was heavy with sins, it would be devoured by a terrifying monster called Amit, and the soul would cease to exist forever. This was the ultimate fear for an Egyptian, not just death, but total annihilation. However, if the scales balanced, it meant the deceased had lived a righteous life. They would be declared true of voice and be granted entry into the afterlife. This was not a return to their old life on earth, it was something far better. A rebirth into a perfect eternal existence. The soul would be reunited with its preserved body, the mummy, and become a blessed spirit. They would live on in a paradise known as the Field of Reeds, or Seket Aru. This was an idealized version of Egypt, a land of endless harvests, beautiful waterways, and joyful reunions with loved ones who had gone before them. This promise of a glorious rebirth was the ultimate goal. It was the powerful motivation behind the pyramids, the mummification, and the complex rituals that defined so much of ancient Egyptian culture. Their entire system of belief was designed to transform the terrifying finality of death into a hopeful new beginning. It was a testament to their desire for justice, their belief in cosmic order, and their unwavering conviction that life, in its best and most perfect form, was meant to last for eternity. To secure their place in the eternal paradise, the ancient Egyptians developed elaborate funeral practices, each step designed to protect and guide the soul on its perilous journey. At the heart of these rituals stood the tomb, a sacred home for the deceased's body and a gateway to the afterlife. Early rulers were buried in simple underground chambers, but as beliefs evolved, so did their monuments. The majestic pyramids of the Old Kingdom rose from the desert sands, serving not only as tombs, but as engines of resurrection. Their shape, pointing skyward, symbolized a staircase to the heavens. Lavishly decorated walls, hidden passages, complex traps, all worked together to defend against grave robbers and spiritual threats alike. Inside these tombs, the Egyptians placed everything the soul might need: food, clothing, amulets, shabtis, tiny servant figurines. But perhaps the most vital tools were the afterlife texts. The earliest of these, the pyramid texts, inscribed on the walls of royal tombs over 4,000 years ago. These spells and prayers were reserved for the pharaohs, helping them navigate the dangers of the thwart and join the gods. As time passed, these sacred writings evolved. The coffin texts appeared, expanding access to powerful magic beyond royalty to nobles and high officials. Later still, the famous Book of the Dead emerged, a collection of spells written on papyrus scrolls, tucked beside the mummy in its sarcophagus. These texts provided step-by-step instructions, how to avoid pitfalls, recite the right words, and win the favor of gods and guardians. Each new generation added their own prayers and spells, reflecting changing hopes and fears. In this way, the afterlife text became a living tradition, one that shaped Egyptian culture for millennia. Tombs, rituals, sacred writings. Together they formed a protective shield, ensuring the journey to the field of reeds would not end in darkness, but in everlasting light. Across the millennia, the ancient Egyptians penned their hopes for eternity in ink and stone. Their funerary texts, more than mere words, became lifelines for the soul's voyage beyond death. Among these, the Book of the Dead stands as the most renowned. Unfurled on delicate papyrus, its spells and illustrations served as a passport, guiding the deceased through the shadowy corridors of the thwart, the underworld. Each scroll was unique, tailored to the individual's journey, filled with prayers, passwords, magical instructions to outwit dangers and win the favor of Osiris, judge of the dead. But the Book of the Dead was just one chapter in Egypt's sacred literature. Deep within royal tombs, the walls blossomed with the books of the netherworld. These cosmic maps charted the sun god Ra's nightly journey through 12 perilous hours of darkness. Their cryptic illustrations and hymns were reserved for pharaohs, depicting monstrous guardians, fiery lakes, the rebirth of the sun, an allegory for the king's resurrection and triumph over chaos. High above, on the ceilings of tombs, another genre unfurled, the books of the sky. These texts, like the Book of Nut, traced the goddess arching overhead, swallowing the sun at dusk, birthing it anew at dawn. They offered a celestial perspective, promising that, like the sun, the soul too could rise again. Each tradition offered a different map, a unique vision of the afterlife's challenges and rewards. Together they reflected Egypt's evolving beliefs that immortality was not guaranteed, but earned through knowledge, righteousness and ritual. As we gaze upon the faded ink of papyrus scrolls, the vibrant frescoes of tomb walls, the star-studded ceilings of ancient burial chambers, we glimpse a civilization obsessed with guiding its dead, not into oblivion, but toward a luminous eternity. Their texts were more than guides. They were promises, etched in word and image, that the journey would not end in darkness, but in the everlasting light of the field of reeds. In the shadowed silence of Egyptian tombs, the quest for eternity took tangible form through the intricate art of mummification, an extraordinary ritual, both scientific and sacred. To the ancient Egyptians, the body was the vessel of the soul, and its preservation was vital for a successful journey into the afterlife. The process began soon after death. Specialist embalmers, often priests, washed the body and recited prayers to purify it. The most critical step followed. The removal of internal organs, liver, lungs, stomach, intestines were carefully extracted and placed within canopic jars. Canopic jar lids shaped as protective deities. These jars were more than containers. They symbolized guardianship over the vital essence of the deceased. The heart, thought to be the seat of emotion and intelligence, was usually left inside the body, destined to be weighed against the feather of Ma'at in the Hall of Judgment. The brain, considered less important, was removed and discarded. Next, the body was packed in natron, a natural salt, and left to dry for 40 days. Once desiccated, the embalmers wrapped the body in countless linen strips, inserting amulets between layers for protection. Each wrapping was accompanied by spells and incantations, invoking the god's favour and shielding the soul from harm. But mummification was only part of the journey. The tomb itself became a portal to the afterlife, filled with offerings: bread, beer, fruits, meats, jars of wine. Statues of servants called shabti were placed to work for the deceased in the next world. Jewelry, clothing, treasured possessions surrounded the body, reflecting a belief that the afterlife mirrored earthly existence, complete with joys and necessities. Priests played a crucial role, performing the opening of the mouth ceremony, ensuring they could breathe, speak and eat in the world beyond. These rituals and offerings were more than tradition, they were acts of devotion and hope. Every careful preparation echoed a profound faith that, with the right rites, the soul would awaken, thrive, and find peace in the lush fields of eternity. In this sacred process, the Egyptians sought not just to preserve the body, but to guarantee the soul's triumphant passage through the mysteries of death into the promise of everlasting life. As the tomb doors sealed and offerings settled into silence, the true journey of the soul began. A voyage mapped in sacred texts and painted on the walls of eternal chambers. In ancient Egyptian belief, death was not an end but a crossing, a passage from the living to the afterlife. Guided by spells from the Book of the Dead, the soul, the Ba, set out on its perilous journey. First it crossed the celestial Nile, ferried by the divine boatman. The river marked the threshold between mortal life and the world beyond. On the far shore, the soul entered the thwart, the underworld. Darkness and danger reigned. The thwart was a labyrinth of gates and guardians, rivers of fire and fearsome beasts. Each obstacle was a test. Gatekeepers demanded secret knowledge or a protective spell. Funerary texts, inscribed and recited, were the soul's only guide. At the heart of the thwart awaited the hall of judgment, presided over Osiris. The soul's heart was placed upon a golden scale and weighed against the feather of Ma'at. Anubis watched with impartial eyes, while Thoth recorded the verdict. If the heart was pure, the soul passed to the field of reeds, a paradise like earthly life. There the soul, reunited with loved ones, toiled in abundance and basked in eternal peace. If the heart was heavy with sin, Amit devoured it, and the journey ended in oblivion. Through these stages, crossing trial judgment, the Egyptians imagined a spiritual odyssey. Each peril and each prayer reflected a hope. With devotion, wisdom and the favour of the gods, the soul could transcend death and awaken in the afterlife. With every tomb painting and funerary text, the ancients immortalized this voyage, a testament to their quest for immortality and their belief that the soul's story had only just begun. In the shadowed halls of the afterlife, beneath star-strewn ceilings and eternal columns, the soul faced its most crucial trial, the judgment of the dead. Here, in the awe-inspiring Hall of Judgment, the fate of every soul was decided, an event watched over by the mightiest deities of the Egyptian pantheon. At the heart of the hall, Osiris, lord of the afterlife, sat upon his golden throne, shrouded in regal linen and crowned with the white and red of Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. Before him, the scales of justice gleamed in the half-light, a symbol of perfect balance and truth. Anubis, the jackal-headed guardian of the dead, guided the trembling soul forward. With careful hands, Anubis placed the soul's heart, believed to be the seat of memory, conscience and emotion, on one side of the scale. On the other side rested the feather of Ma'at, the goddess of truth and cosmic order. The moment was sacred and still. As the scales tipped, Thoth, the ibis-headed scribe of the gods, recorded every detail with unerring precision, his papyrus scrolls capturing the soul's fate for eternity. Watching nearby, Ma'at herself stood serene, her feather a radiant beacon of justice. But lurking at the foot of the scales was Amit, the fearsome devourer, her form part lion, hippopotamus and crocodile, the three most dangerous beasts of Egypt. Her jaws parted in anticipation, ready to consume any heart weighed down by sin, dooming the soul to oblivion. If the heart balanced with Ma'at's feather, if the soul had lived with honesty, compassion and respect for the gods, the path to the field of reeds opened. There eternal joy awaited. But if the heart was heavy with wrongdoing, Amit devoured it, and the soul was erased from existence, lost forever. This divine judgment was not only a test of deeds, but a measure of the soul's harmony with truth and order. For the ancient Egyptians, the weighing of the heart was both a warning and a hope, a reminder that every act in life echoed in eternity, and that the gods watched with wisdom and mercy. With each judgment, the Egyptians reaffirmed their most sacred belief, that to live justly was to be worthy of immortality, and that the ultimate reward, or punishment, awaited in the halls beyond death. Beyond the Hall of Judgment, where the fate of each soul was weighed with divine precision, lay another formidable trial, the Lake of Fire. In the ancient Egyptian imagination, this was no ordinary body of water. It was a churning, fiery expanse, its surface rippling with flames, annihilate, transform. For those souls whose hearts had not found perfect balance, the Lake of Fire was a place of dread and destruction. Here the unrighteous risked utter obliteration, their very essence consumed by the scorching waters, as punishment for a life lived in discord with Ma'at. This was the ultimate threat, the end of the soul's journey, the erasure of identity for all eternity. Yet the Lake of Fire was more than a pit of punishment. It was also a crucible of purification. Some souls, though burdened by imperfection, could endure the flames and emerge cleansed, their transgressions burned away by the fire's purifying touch. In this trial by fire destruction renewal, the soul that survived the lake's ordeal was transformed, purified, reborn, worthy to continue its journey toward immortality. Fire itself held deep mythological significance for the Egyptians. It was a force of chaos, danger, light regeneration. In sacred texts, fire was invoked by gods and priests alike to destroy evil, ward off chaos, renew the world at dawn. The Lake of Fire, then, was a testing ground, a place where the soul faced the duality of fire as a threat to the unworthy, as a promise of renewal for those who could endure. Ultimately, the Lake of Fire was not just a symbol of fear, but of hope. It reminded the living that even after death, the path to perfection was possible. The fires of trial could lead to spiritual rebirth. For the ancient Egyptians, the soul's journey was never truly over. It was a continual process of testing transformation, the pursuit of eternal harmony with the divine. After the soul has emerged from its trials, purified by fire, judged by the gods, and found worthy, it enters the long-awaited paradise of Sekhet Aru, the field of reeds. To the ancient Egyptians, this was the ultimate reward, a realm of eternal abundance, peace and joy. Sekhet Aru was imagined as a vast, sunlit expanse of fertile fields bordered by tranquil waterways, mirroring the lush banks of the Nile in its most perfect form. Here golden crops grew tall, and the air shimmered with the promise of endless harvests. Tomb paintings and sacred texts depict this paradise as an idyllic landscape, a place where the soul could plough fields that never failed, gather fruit that never spoiled, and rest beneath palms that never withered. But Sekhet Aru was more than just a land of plenty. It was a place of reunion and restoration. Loved ones long departed awaited each other, families reuniting in joy, friends and ancestors greeting the newly arrived soul. In this paradise, all suffering and sorrow were left behind. The worthy would dwell alongside the gods and the blessed dead, sharing in feasts, music and laughter for all eternity. For ancient Egyptians, Sekhet Aru embodied the highest hope, that a life lived in harmony with Ma'at, the cosmic order, would be rewarded with everlasting happiness. The field of reeds was not a distant, abstract concept. It was a vivid vision of fulfillment, a promise painted on tomb walls and written into the Book of the Dead. In Sekhet Aru, the journey of the soul found its perfect conclusion. Here, eternal life was not simply endless existence, but a state of harmony, joy and reunion. A reflection of everything the Egyptians cherished about life, made immortal. For them, the field of reeds was a testament to the power of hope, the beauty of the afterlife, and the enduring human longing for happiness beyond the horizon of death. The ancient Egyptians created a civilization that thrived for millennia. This civilization was built on the fertile banks of the Nile River. The Nile's annual floods brought life-giving silt to the land. This allowed the Egyptians to cultivate crops and produce surplus agricultural goods. From the bustling marketplaces of their cities to the far reaches of the known world, the Egyptians were active traders. They exchanged goods, ideas, and culture with their neighbors. Their pharaohs, considered divine rulers, invested in expeditions to distant lands. These expeditions sought valuable resources like gold, timber, and exotic animals. Join us as we delve into the world of ancient Egyptian trade. It takes us from the sun-drenched banks of the Nile to the distant shores of Africa and the Near East. In the heart of every ancient Egyptian city lay the marketplace, a vibrant hub of activity from dawn till dusk. Here, locals and foreigners alike converged to barter for their daily needs and exotic luxuries. The air was filled with the aroma of spices, the sound of haggling, and the sight of colourful textiles. Farmers brought their bountiful harvests of grain, fruits, and vegetables. Fishermen displayed their catches of the day from the Nile. Artisans proudly presented their crafts, pottery, jewellery, and furniture. The Egyptians developed a system to standardize trade. There was a unit of value based on the weight of copper. It served as a common denominator for comparing the value of different goods and services. The marketplace was not just an economic centre but also a social hub. Festivals and religious celebrations often took place in the marketplace, adding to the lively atmosphere. The Nile River, the lifeblood of Egypt, was also its main artery of trade. Boats laden with goods sailed up and down its length. They connected the northern delta region to the southern reaches of the kingdom. But the Egyptians were not content to limit themselves to the Nile Valley. They ventured beyond their borders, establishing trade routes across land and sea that stretched as far as the Arabian Peninsula, the Levant, and even Mesopotamia. Overland trade routes, often arduous journeys by donkey caravan, crossed the eastern desert to reach the Red Sea. Here, Egyptian ships embarked on voyages to the land of Punt. Punt, believed to be located in present-day Somalia, was a source of exotic goods highly prized by the Egyptians: incense, ebony, ivory, gold, and even live baboons. These international trade routes were not without their dangers, yet the lure of profit and the desire for exotic goods fueled the Egyptians' adventurous spirit, making them adept sailors and shrewd traders. The Old Kingdom period, around 2686 to 2181 BCE, marked the emergence of a powerful centralized state in Egypt. During this era, the pharaohs consolidated their power and embarked on ambitious building projects, most notably the pyramids of Giza. These monumental structures stand as a testament to the pharaoh's authority and the economic prosperity of the Old Kingdom. Trade played a crucial role in fueling this economic growth. The pharaohs controlled all aspects of trade. They sent expeditions to distant lands in search of valuable resources. Timber from the cedar forests of Lebanon was essential for constructing ships, temples, and tombs. Gold, mined in the Nubian desert to the south, became synonymous with the pharaoh's power and divinity. The Old Kingdom laid the foundation for Egypt's future economic dominance. It established the systems and networks that would allow subsequent dynasties to further expand trade and secure Egypt's place as a major power in the ancient world. The Middle Kingdom, around 2055 to 1650 BCE, witnessed a resurgence of Egyptian power after a period of political instability. The pharaohs of this era focused on expanding their influence southwards into Nubia. Nubia, a region rich in gold, became a primary target for Egyptian expeditions. Gold played a central role in the Egyptian economy and belief system. It was considered the flesh of the gods, and possessing it was a sign of divine favour. The Egyptians established trading posts and fortresses along the Nile to secure their access to Nubian gold mines. They also developed sophisticated mining techniques to extract the precious metal from the earth. Nubian gold fueled the Middle Kingdom's prosperity. However, the Egyptians' desire for Nubian gold also led to conflict. These campaigns were costly and bloody, but they ultimately secured Egypt's dominance over Nubia and its valuable resources. The New Kingdom, around 1550 to 1069 BCE, marked the zenith of Egyptian power and prosperity. During this era, the Egyptian Empire reached its greatest territorial extent, stretching from Nubia in the south to Syria in the north. This expansion brought immense wealth and luxury goods into Egypt, transforming its culture and economy. The pharaohs of the New Kingdom launched ambitious military campaigns. These campaigns brought vast territories under Egyptian control and opened up new trade routes. Egyptian armies returned from their conquests laden with booty, gold, silver, precious stones, exotic animals, and even slaves. Trade with distant lands flourished during the New Kingdom. Egyptian ships sailed the Mediterranean, reaching the shores of Greece, Anatolia, and the Levant. These exotic goods became status symbols among the Egyptian elite, further stimulating trade and cultural exchange. The New Kingdom was an era of unprecedented wealth and luxury in ancient Egypt. The ancient Egyptians were renowned for their ambitious engineering projects, and the Canal of the Pharaohs stands as a testament to their ingenuity and determination. This ambitious waterway, also known as the Canal of the Seas, was an attempt to connect the Nile River to the Red Sea, creating a direct trade route between Egypt and the East. The first attempt to construct the canal is credited to Pharaoh Senusret III of the 12th dynasty, around 1878 to 1839 BCE. However, it was Pharaoh Necho II of the 26th dynasty, around 610 to 595 BCE, who is often associated with the canal's completion. The canal was a remarkable feat of engineering for its time. It stretched for over 100 miles, linking the Nile River to the Bitter Lakes, which were then connected to the Red Sea. The canal facilitated trade and transportation between Egypt and the East. It allowed Egyptian ships to bypass the treacherous journey around the Sinai Peninsula, reducing travel time and risks. However, the canal was not without its challenges. Despite its intermittent use, the Canal of the Pharaohs stands as a testament to the ancient Egyptians' vision and engineering prowess. The once mighty Egyptian empire did not last forever. Political instability, internal strife, and the rise of new powers in the region gradually eroded Egyptian dominance. By the late period, around 747 to 332 BCE, Egypt was a shadow of its former self, its economy weakened, and its trade networks disrupted. The decline of Egyptian trade was due to a combination of factors. Internally, political instability and internal conflicts weakened the central government's control over trade routes and resources. The rise of independent kingdoms in Nubia further disrupted trade to the south. External pressures also played a role. The emergence of new powers, such as the Assyrians, Babylonians, and Persians, challenged Egyptian hegemony in the Near East. The decline of Egyptian trade had a profound impact on the empire's economy and society. The decline of Egyptian trade marked the end of an era. The story of ancient Egyptian trade is a testament to the ingenuity, resourcefulness, and ambition of this remarkable civilization. From the bustling marketplaces of their cities to the far reaches of the known world, the Egyptians were active traders. They exchanged goods, ideas, and culture with their neighbors. The legacy of ancient Egyptian trade is still felt today. The Egyptians developed complex systems of trade and diplomacy. They created innovative technologies for transportation and navigation. They established trade routes that connected distant lands and cultures. These innovations laid the groundwork for the development of international trade in the centuries that followed. Though the pharaohs and pyramids may be long gone, the spirit of trade that animated ancient Egypt continues to inspire us today. As we navigate the complexities of global trade in the 21st century, we can learn valuable lessons from the ancient Egyptians, who mastered the art of trade and left an indelible mark on the world. Welcome to ancient Egypt, a land of breathtaking pyramids, mystical deities, and unparalleled innovation. But beyond the monuments and mythology lies a fascinating story of how the ancient Egyptians maintained their health and nourished their bodies. Wellness was not just a personal endeavor, but a cultural cornerstone, deeply intertwined with their spiritual beliefs and daily practices. Join us as we explore the remarkable world of Egyptian medicine and diets, uncovering the secrets of their holistic approach to well-being. The ancient Egyptians were pioneers of medicine, combining natural remedies with spiritual practices. Their medical knowledge evolved over millennia, influenced by their observations of nature and the human body. They documented their knowledge in papyri, such as the Ebers papyrus, which contains over 700 remedies and treatments, showcasing their extensive understanding of medicinal plants and their applications. The Edwin Smith Papyrus, one of the earliest known surgical manuals, highlights their advanced surgical techniques and anatomical knowledge. These texts reveal an intricate understanding of the human body and diseases developed through centuries of practice and study. Temples dedicated to Imhotep were not only places of worship, but also centers for healing, reflecting the integration of medicine and religion in their culture. These sanctuaries offered treatments that combined prayers, rituals, and practical remedies, evolving into sophisticated centers of medical practice. This holistic approach to health, balancing the physical and spiritual realms, was a cornerstone of ancient Egyptian medicine, influencing practices for generations. The ancient Egyptians relied on the natural world for healing. Honey was prized for its antiseptic properties and used to treat wounds, while garlic was a common remedy for heart health and stamina. Willow bark, a natural source of salicylic acid, was used to alleviate pain, foreshadowing the development of aspirin thousands of years later. They also excelled in treating physical injuries. Splints made from reeds and bandages soaked in medicinal oils were used to set fractures. For infections, they employed antiseptic poultices made of resin, honey, and even copper salts, which have antibacterial properties. Dental health was a significant concern. The Egyptians used tooth powders made from crushed eggshells and ash to clean their teeth, though they faced challenges due to the abrasive nature of their bread, which wore down enamel over time. Aloe vera was another versatile remedy, used to soothe skin irritations and burns. Poppy seeds were utilized for their sedative properties, helping to relieve pain and induce sleep. Juniper berries and their oil were used to treat digestive issues and as a diuretic. Castor oil was a common laxative, aiding in digestive health and relieving constipation. A balanced diet was central to Egyptian life. Bread and beer were staples, providing carbohydrates and essential nutrients. Bread was made from emmer wheat or barley, and beer was brewed from the same grains, sometimes flavored with dates or herbs for added nutrition. Their meals included vegetables such as onions, leeks, and garlic, which were rich in vitamins and believed to have medicinal benefits. Fruits like figs, dates, and melons were common, adding natural sweetness and essential hydration to their diet. Fish from the Nile was an important protein source, supplemented by poultry and eggs. While red meat was reserved for the wealthy or special occasions, ordinary Egyptians had access to lentils, chickpeas, and other legumes for protein. Their reliance on whole grains made their diet high in fiber, which supported digestive health. However, the sand and grit from grinding flour often led to severe dental wear, causing pain and infections. Nuts and seeds such as almonds, sesame seeds and flax seeds were also part of their diet, providing healthy fats and additional protein. Dairy products like cheese and milk were consumed, offering calcium and other essential nutrients for bone health. Herbs and spices, including coriander, cumin and fenugreek, were used to flavor their food and were believed to have health benefits. Honey was a natural sweetener and was also used for its medicinal properties, adding both flavor and health benefits to their diet. The Nile River was the heart of Egyptian life. Its annual floods brought fertile silt, making agriculture possible. Crops like wheat, barley, flax and vegetables thrived along its banks, ensuring a steady food supply. The river also provided medicinal resources. Papyrus was not only used for writing, but also as material for wound dressings. Plants like lotus flowers and water reeds were incorporated into remedies for ailments ranging from skin conditions to digestive disorders. The cycle of planting and harvesting was closely tied to the Nile's rhythm. This abundance allowed the Egyptians to experiment with a wide range of ingredients for both sustenance and healing. The Nile was also a vital source of fish, which was a key protein in the Egyptian diet. Advanced irrigation techniques allowed Egyptians to maximize their agricultural output. Medical knowledge was often recorded on papyrus, ensuring the transmission of healing practices across generations. The legacy of ancient Egyptian wellness lives on. Many of their remedies, like honey for wounds and herbal teas for digestion, are still valued today. Modern herbal medicine and essential oils also draw from ancient practices. Their understanding of nutrition and the connection between diet and health was far ahead of its time. Today's Mediterranean diet and healthy eating trends echo their principles. Their approach to wellness reflected their reverence for balance, or ma'at, the harmony that governed all aspects of life. This balance is mirrored in modern wellness practices like yoga and meditation. From the food they ate to the medicines they crafted, the ancient Egyptians demonstrated a profound connection to the world around them. This connection continues in today's natural remedies and farm-to-table movements. Beyond their renowned remedies and diet, the ancient Egyptians also practiced surgery with remarkable skill. They employed a variety of tools, such as scalpels, forceps and probes, many of which have been discovered in tombs, showcasing their advanced understanding of medical procedures. Surgical techniques included trepanation, where holes were drilled into the skull to treat head injuries or illnesses, and the use of sutures made from plant fibers or animal sinews to close wounds. The Edwin Smith Papyrus, a medical text dating back to around 1600 BCE, provides detailed descriptions of these procedures, highlighting the Egyptians' systematic approach to surgery. They also practiced dentistry, extracting teeth and treating dental abscesses with precision. The combination of surgical skill and their vast knowledge of medicinal plants allowed them to perform complex procedures while minimizing pain and infection risks. The ancient Egyptians' contributions to surgery laid the groundwork for future medical advancements, demonstrating their ingenuity and dedication to the well-being of their people. In summary, the ancient Egyptians excelled in various aspects of wellness, from their innovative surgical practices and advanced medical tools to their comprehensive understanding of medicinal plants and balanced diets. Their holistic approach to health and medicine not only ensured the well-being of their people, but also laid a strong foundation for future generations to build upon. In ancient Egypt, medicine was deeply intertwined with magic and religion. Illnesses were believed to be caused by supernatural forces, requiring both medical knowledge and spiritual intervention. Priests, skilled healers, performed rituals to appease gods and expel spirits. Sekhmet, the lion-headed goddess, was revered in medicine. Her priests channeled her power through elaborate ceremonies. Thoth, god of wisdom, bestowed medical knowledge. Amulets and charms protected and aided recovery. Inscribed with sacred texts, they invoked divine protection. The Ebers papyrus blends spells and medical treatments. The heart was seen as the center of thought and health. During mummification, the heart was carefully preserved. Magic and religion ensured holistic well-being. This integration highlights the complexity of ancient Egyptian society and their understanding of the human condition. The diet in ancient Egypt varied significantly between social classes, reflecting wealth and status. The wealthy enjoyed diverse meals with meats, fish, fruits and vegetables. Bread and beer were staples, but quality varied by class. Commoners had simpler diets, mainly bread, beer and vegetables. Meat was a rare luxury for the working class. The Nile's bounty ensured basic foodstuffs for all. Feasts showcased wealth and reinforced social bonds. Food was a marker of status and cultural expression. Ancient Egyptian medicine was advanced and profoundly influential on later civilizations. Their knowledge of herbal remedies, surgical techniques and holistic health laid the groundwork for future practices. The Greeks adopted many Egyptian practices, integrating them into their own medical theories. Hippocrates drew inspiration from Egyptian medical texts. The Romans expanded upon Egyptian medical knowledge. Galen referenced Egyptian practices in his works. Egyptian medical papyri influenced both the ancient world and Renaissance scholars. Their emphasis on mind, body and spirit echoes in modern holistic medicine. The legacy of ancient Egyptian medicine continues to inspire contemporary practices. Understanding their influence provides a broader perspective on medical evolution. It highlights the importance of preserving and learning from ancient wisdom. Thank you for joining us on this journey into their remarkable world. Stay tuned for more explorations of the past. Explore more about ancient Egypt in our next episode. Like, share and subscribe to delve deeper into the mysteries of history. The early 19th century was a time of great curiosity. Egypt, with its silent monuments and sun-bleached sands, drew men from all across Europe. Among them was an Italian man named Giovanni Battista Caviglia. He was not a scholar or a nobleman, but a former sea captain who had spent his life navigating the oceans. He arrived in Egypt with a different kind of purpose. He wanted to understand, not just to take. Born in Genoa in 1770, his years as a merchant sailor gave him a practical mind and a steady hand. He was a patient man, used to long voyages and careful planning. Unlike many contemporaries, Caviglia was fascinated by the structures themselves. He saw pyramids as immense puzzles, preferred small tools to dynamite, listened to the stones, and worked with slow, methodical care. A quest not for fame, but a personal connection to the past. In these years, Napoleon's savants and new decipherments stirred Europe. Egypt promised answers buried beneath wind and time, mysteries a patient eye could untangle. Caviglia landed at Bulak Quay, bartering in many tongues, hiring fellahin and craftsmen, learning Cairo's rhythm before turning his steady gaze toward Giza. He kept notebooks of winds, tools and costs. He spoke of listening to the stone, testing sands with a rod, tracing faint tool marks by lamplight. Caviglia set his base at the eastern face, a scatter of ropes, baskets, lamps and ledgers, turning the sand into a workshop of patience. He divided the day into watches, like a ship's log. At dawn, he checked tools, counted baskets, and noted wind, heat, and the temper of the crews. The descending corridor was his proving ground, packed with chips and dust from centuries. He ordered narrow baskets so men could pass without bruising the limestone. Step by careful step, the floor reappeared. He recorded the slope with a plumb line and cord, writing the angle beside a charcoal mark on the wall. Where the air turned stale, he tested a candle, then arranged a relay of fans at the mouth, coaxing a slow draft downward. He kept the granite plugs in view, immovable guardians wedged above, measuring their faces from below and sketching how debris flowed around them. At the junction with the ascending corridor, he paused the crew, clearing a shelf for tools. He forbade chisels on finished surfaces. Wood wedges and brushes did the work. The well shaft beckoned, narrow, jagged and uncertain. He lowered himself by hemp rope, easing past rotten timbers left by earlier intruders. Inside the shaft, he mapped each change of direction by counting arm lengths, then checked them against a knotted cord back at camp. Foul air rose like an unseen tide. He timed rests, sent up men who coughed, and returned only when the candle burned clean. Below, the passages opened to the unfinished chamber, a place of raw stone. Pick marks hung like frozen strokes. The floor was rough, the plan abandoned. He spread a grid with string and pegs in the sanded patches, measuring spans, depths, and the drafts left by the ancient work. In his notebook he wrote of water seeping in winter, of bat dust, and of how the shaft might have offered a hidden exit for the workers. Each evening he compared sketches, correcting lines under lamplight, and copying the fair versions to share with patrons who asked for certainty. He studied tool marks, broad at first, then finer, reading the order of labour as if the walls still echoed with commands. Surface work continued too. He walked the quarry traces, counted casing stone beds and measured the levelling sockets around the base. When visitors asked for marvels, he showed them his measures, a cord, a plumb and a plan, proof that observation can move mountains more surely than hammers. By season's end, the passages were clearer, the routes safer, and the maps strong enough that others could follow without guesswork. Caviglia left Giza not with treasure but with paths, lines on paper that turned rumour into shape and darkness into rooms one could describe. From that groundwork, Egyptology at the Great Pyramid took a steadier step, built not on blasts, but on the quiet courage of patient days. In 1817 to 1818, with support from Henry Salt, Giovanni Battista Caviglia began systematic clearance at the Great Sphinx of Giza. At first light, he surveyed the plateau, fixed a working line, and marked a base around the monument. He organised crews of fellahin with baskets and ropes, cut low ramps in the drift, and set a windlass. Loads were tallied in a ledger so progress could be measured, not guessed. Ropes were checked for knots and wear. Pulleys kept true. In hollows, he used a candle test for air before sending men below. Work proceeded in short, controlled intervals. The scope was practical. Clear down along the breast and forelegs, open the pores, and establish simple drainage channels to divert wind-blown sand away from the working face. Between the pores, the ancient stela was exposed to view. It was cleaned carefully and recorded, its position noted relative to the forelegs. Measurements were taken of principal dimensions, about height at the chest, breadth of the pores, distances to the enclosure wall. Pegs, cords, and a plumb set the lines. Plans and notes were forwarded to Salt. He observed quarry marks on the enclosure walls and recorded masonry repairs and patches from later periods. These details were entered with dates and bearings for later comparison. From the drift he recovered small finds, fragments of offering vessels, beads and later period objects. Each was listed and bagged with its find spot and depth. Ledgers tracked basket counts by ramp. He noted how sand drifted with prevailing winds and kept channels open to reduce reburial. Maintenance was planned as part of the work. By season's end, the chest and pores stood free, and the depth of the Sphinx enclosure relative to the surrounding plateau was confirmed. Access paths around the forepart were improved. Sketches and sections were copied clean by lamplight, with dates 1817, 1818, and sent to patrons. Dimensions, bearings, and notes on air, sand and stone were kept together for reference. His record documented the enclosure, forelegs, breast, and the steler's setting. It provided a baseline used by later investigators, including Mariette and, in the next century, Barrés. The work favoured observation before force, measured clearance, controlled access, and routine checks. It turned spectacle into evidence others could test and extend. Under calm twilight, the Sphinx held its place. Caviglia's season left clearer approaches, sound measurements, and a practical file. Later excavations would go further. His baseline remained. Early 1820s. Memphis, Mitrahina, south of Cairo. Caviglia works the ground methodically. Shallow trenches, waterlogged spoil, baskets, ropes, timber braces holding the edges. By chance, the pit opens on a massive limestone form. Prone, low light raking across carved muscles and royal cartouches. The context aligns near the south gate of the Temple of Ptah, at the edge of the village. With British backing, Giovanni Battista Caviglia sets a measured plan. Crews gather with baskets, ropes and timber. A shallow pit is set. Braces go in before spades. Where water pools, bailing begins. Pumps work when the level allows. He records each stage, depth by knots on cord, soil by layer. Surfaces are shielded with damp cloth and wood shims. No blows on polished stone. From the mud, a red granite figure emerges lying face up. The profile is serene, the scale is colossal. Close-ups confirm cartouches, Usamatra Setepenra, Ramses II. Identification is entered in the ledger and copied clean. Measurements follow. Height at shoulder, breadth across chest, spans of the forearm. Broken feet noted, crown fragments listed as missing. Tool marks are sketched. A simple plan shows pit, braces and a drainage trench. A second copy is prepared for dispatch. Letters cross the Nile to patrons and officials. Interest rises in lifting the statue, yet the ground is soft and the weight immense. For the season, it remains in place. Visitors stand in shade to view the prone giant. Caviglia updates his sheet, date, bearings, water and condition, then files the Memphis notes. By lamplight, he concludes, the Colossus is recorded in situ, identified as Ramses II, and secured for further work. Night settles over Memphis. The record endures, dimensions, names, context. He matters because he chose method over spectacle, observation over force. Caviglia listened first, then moved sand. His corridor clearances the well shaft made safer plain maps. They gave others routes to follow and data they could trust. Grids, pegs, plumb, level, candle tests at dark mouths, careful notes before tools, habits that read like modern field sheets. His pages cross seas, dimensions, slopes, airflow, seeds for later surveyors and early Egyptologists who built upon his lines. We inherit a mixed ledger. He worked in an age of removals, now debated. Yet his documentation advanced understanding and shaped ethics that value context. Today we measure before we move, record before we lift. His patience echoes in our practice. He proved the desert rewards restraint. Let the stones speak, and we, with care and lines, learn to listen. Caviglia's record is practical. Measured clearances at the Great Pyramid, the well shaft mapped by knots and cord, and safe access restored through candle-tested air. At the Sphinx, 1817, 1818, he exposed the chest. He exposed the pores, documented dimensions, documented the steler's setting, and forwarded copies for others to test. At Memphis, early 1820s, he identified a prone colossus of Ramses II, usa matre setepenre. Logged measurements, logged condition, logged context in situ. His habit was consistent. Grids, pegs, plumb, and notes before tools. Later investigators, Mariette in the 19th century and Barres in the 20th, worked from clearer baselines because his pages travelled. The ledger is mixed by era. Some removals were sponsored, now debated. The value that endures is method. Record first, then act. Today, field practice echoes him. Air checks in confined spaces, mapped passages, and transparent logs others can audit. Conclusion. Caviglia turned rumour into roots and sites into plans. With patience and lines, he taught the desert to be read.